Hello, everybody. Hello. We're so lucky. We're so lucky. He's back in town after going to Italy for 2 weeks. The lucky Judge Angie Napolitano is back in the United States and took a little break, but he's back in action again. And what he's in action about is the inaction that American people are taking as we're losing our life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Judge, welcome back.
Thank you, Gerald. A pleasure to be with you, my friend. I thought of you at the many places I went to in Italy, thinking Gerald would love this. Gerald would fit in right here.
You have an article that's coming out tomorrow. Has liberty, again, this is what I was just saying, how we lost our liberty. Has liberty died in our hearts? Liberty lies in the hearts of men and women. When it dies there, no constitution, no law, no court can save it. No constitution, no law, no court can even do much to help it. This is Judge Leonard Hand, 1872 to 1961. Boy, the cat lived a long time. You go on to say, last week, a judge on the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court revealed that he had enough of the FBI and Congress trashing the Constitution. The normally secretive court and the normally secretive judge explained in a rare public opinion the unlawful behavior of the FBI agents. You ready? Spying on ordinary Americans in violation of the Fourth Amendment. The FISA judge revealed that the FBI has spied illegally on nearly 300,000 Americans in 2022.
Correct. And among them was a United States senator, not named publicly, but they have told the senator who he is, a state senator and a state judge. I'll tell you about the state judge in a minute. It's scandalous what happened to him. So right after 9/11, the most incompetent president in the modern era, George W. Bush, in order to deflect attention from his own sleepiness in the days leading up to 9/11, began to blame everybody and everything for 9/11. And the principal object that he blamed was the Constitution and the Fourth Amendment. Same Constitution he took an oath to uphold. He persuaded Congress to override the Fourth Amendment, which Congress does not have the authority to do, and tell the FBI and the NSA, you can go ahead and spy on foreigners in the U.S. without suspicion and without a warrant, just because they're foreign. Then the law says, what happens if foreigners speak to Americans? Well, if foreigners communicate with Americans, you got to take that data and put it in a database, and the FBI can only access that data with a search warrant. The FISA court judge revealed that in 2022 alone, just last year, the FBI accessed that database without a search warrant almost 300,000 times. Now, those are innocent Americans, could be you and me, could be the people watching and listening to us now. There's no search warrant on them. There's no suspicion about them. There's no knowledge of who they are. But the FBI, which is given custody of the database, couldn't resist the temptation to go in there without a search warrant, and it happened that many times. The state trial judge observed criminal behavior by local police violating the civil rights of people in his courtroom. He complained to local authorities. They told him to go take a hike. He filed a formal complaint with the FBI, and what did the FBI do? Spied on him. You can't make this stuff up. So the point of my article is we are losing liberty. This came out on Saturday morning. The judge revealed it on Friday afternoon. There was no debate over the weekend. It was buried in the back pages of the newspapers. It wasn't even in any of the major websites. Why? Because the government's violations of the Constitution today have become so regular, consistent, and systematic that they don't shock any longer. And the more the government does this, it's just another step on the stairway to totalitarianism. The more they do this, the more they can get away with it. And the public needs to know about this. Now, this law that was passed under Bush that allows the spying without warrants on foreigners, even if they spy on Americans, expires Christmas time in 5 months. And Congress is deciding what to do about it. And Congressman Jim Jordan, Republican of Ohio, who happens to be the chair of the House Judiciary Committee, is a fierce opponent of Section 702. It may very well go down. Biden, of course, is in favor of it. The big government people in the Republican and Democratic parties in Congress are in favor of it. The people in Congress that the intelligence community has dirt on, which is almost all of them, they're in favor of it. We'll see what happens.
You began by saying that Bush persuaded Congress. How that shows you what a bunch of low-life jerks we got running the show. How could that little clown persuade anybody with a brain bigger than a pea?
Agreed.
And that
there he
is.
There he is.
Yep. Look at the guy. That shows you how low America has gone. And what did you say that of all the presidents, he was probably, what did you say?
The least competent in the post-World War II era.
Yeah.
But he shrewdly used fear of another 9/11 as an instrument to pass the Patriot Act, to amend the FISA Act, and to curtail our liberties. And we all know that liberties, once curtailed, don't come back. Once the government gets their hands on our freedom, the government is fighting maniacally to get this Section 702 reinstated. I'll tell you a funny story because it involves Donald Trump. This thing expires every 5 years. So 5 years ago, Trump was in the White House. I was still at Fox. The House and the Senate had passed the reenactment of it. Trump had one more day to sign it or veto it. I was hosting Fox and Friends in the morning. I looked in the camera. I said, Mr. President, this law that they want you to sign, this is the same authority they used to spy on you when you were in Trump Tower. And my bosses were pissed off at me, but I said it anyway. Trump tweets, I'm not signing it. Well, in the next hour, Mike Pence, Paul Ryan, Mitch McConnell go running to the Oval Office. And they say to Trump, don't believe the judge. He thinks the Constitution means what it says. Trump sends me a message. They twisted my arm. I had to sign it. Trump has since said to me, I will never sign this thing again. If I become president, it will die on the vine.
Yeah, that's what he said.
I know. He said the same thing about the JFK files, and then he changed his mind.
Yeah. And this article you have about this article coming out on Friday. That's what they do, by the way, because back in the day when there was a thing called journalism, and that's gone now too, because there are no newspapers anymore. They're owned by private equity groups, and they're
right. There's people like you, Cy Hirsch, Ritter, McGregor, my efforts, but no, there's the mainstream media is lockstep in line with the government, with the CIA, and with the British MI6. That's why the American public thinks that Ukraine is winning the war, whereas in reality, they are within inches of being demolished. McGregor thinks that Zelensky is looking for a place to live as we speak, outside of Ukraine.
And again, talking about this article that you wrote about, the information that came out, the reason they put it out late Friday is because if they did put it out in the media, Saturday is the least watched day of news. I wrote about that in my book, Trend Tracking, back in 1989. So the government, when they come out with information that they have to put out, but they don't want you to hear about,
they put it out on Friday afternoons?
Because everybody, the journalists used to leave, the Capitol building. You quit early on Friday. And then it gets published on Saturday, and Saturday's the least watched and read day of the news. So the least amount of people know about the terrible things that the government is doing. It's been going on for a long time, but there's no journalism left. You know, I want to go back to this article that you have here because, you know, you said enough is enough. If we don't fire and prosecute the folks who have sullied the Constitution, if we are no longer outraged at its most obvious violations, if we elect to office those who promise to uphold it and reelect them after they have trashed it,